We have been running the same quantum circuit on different computers to see if the results hold, not just simulations, real quantum hardware. IonQ Forte, a trapped ion quantum computer. IQM Garnet, a superconducting quantum computer. Two different technologies, different physics, different noise profiles. The question was simple. At what revenue level does our AI context routing circuit switch modes? We swept from 0 to 1 in 0.1 increments, with technical signal fixed high. Then we compared all three results side by side. Every routing decision, every revenue value, all three agreed, not close, unanimous. The crossover from active sales mode to deep technical mode lands at revenue 0.6 on the simulator, on IonQ, and on IQM. Three independent systems. Same answer. There was one thing nobody expected. At low revenue values, the real hardware found the anomaly stronger than the simulator. At 0.1, the simulator predicted 94% confidence. Both quantum computers came back at 98%. The physical entanglement effect is more pronounced than classical simulation predicts. The three-way validation told us the crossover was somewhere around 0.6, but we wanted the exact number, so we zoomed in, fine-grained sweep, 0.02 increments, 1,000 shots per combination for precision. Revenue, 0.45, all the way to 0.65. The gap column is where the story is. At 0.45, the active sales gap is 17%. Clear routing. At 0.47, it drops to 4%. At 0.49, it hits 0.6%. 6 measurements out of 1,000 separating the two states. That is not a routing decision. That is a coin flip. The estimated exact crossover came back at revenue 0.4955. That is essentially 0.50, the mathematical midpoint of the input space. And that is not a coincidence. At revenue 0.5, the quantum gate applies a rotation of pi over 2. That is the maximum superposition state. Equal probability of both outcomes. The slight shift from exactly 0.5 down to 0.4955 is the CNOT entanglement pulling the transition point below the theoretical midpoint. That is a measurable entanglement signature. The finding stated cleanly, when revenue signal falls below quantum equilibrium, the point where the revenue qubit has no dominant state, the system routes to active sales regardless of how high the technical signal is. That threshold is R equals 0.4955, confirmed on 3 independent quantum systems. This is what cross-architecture quantum validation looks like in practice. Same circuit, 3 computers, unanimous result, and the crossover lands exactly where the math says it should.